I cannot believe I'm about to make a Madeline Pendleton video. But I keep seeing the discourse on my FYP, and I cannot stand to see a pivotal piece of misinformation that she has pushed on here go uncorrected for a single second longer, so here goes. We need to talk about Madeline's claims that Democrats paid off content creators, including why her position on the matter is explicitly both reactionary and anti-worker. I know that's a bold claim, but here's the thing. I am one of the creators on this app most qualified to make it, and I am extremely confident that I can prove it to you by the end of this video. First, my credentials. I am not just a fellow content creator. I am a digital strategist who has worked for more than a decade in the political space, including working for 2 different presidential campaigns, multiple advocacy organizations, and campaigns on pretty much every issue area important to the left that you can think of. Even more specifically, I have been the person whose entire job was interfacing with political influencers on behalf of a campaign, including last year, when I was the digital rapid response amplification strategist for the Kamala Harris campaign. In other words, I was one of the people that Madeline wants you to believe was paying off influencers to tell you to vote for Kamala Harris. And I want to recognize right off the bat that just by sharing this background, there are absolutely going to be people, potentially and probably likely including Madeline herself, who would say that my background is proof that everything that I'm saying is a lie and cannot be trusted. But I also know that there is literally nothing I could say to convince that specific group of people, so I'm just not even going to try. Sorry. But for the rest of you, I'm hoping that this video will give you helpful insight into the political influencer ecosystem that will empower you to make smart decisions around what content you consume in the future. So first, let's acknowledge what Madeline got right. Democrats, both the party itself as well as a slew of nonprofits that work on various issues within the political space, do, in fact, sometimes pay influencers to create content. But everything else that she claimed around that topic is unequivocally false in some ways that really matter. First, not one time in my 10-year-plus career have I ever seen a party or a candidate pay an influencer to endorse them. Not one time. And I cannot even imagine a digital strategist in my field ever arguing that we should, because first of all, why would we? A campaign does not need to pay for influencer endorsements. There are already so many political content creators who want to work with a campaign and want to create content geared toward turning out the vote for a Dem candidate that it would be a colossal waste of money. It would also be a huge liability, as Madeline herself proved when she single-handedly created an entire shitstorm for Democrats to deal with near the end of the campaign by claiming that we were. Can you imagine how much worse that shitstorm would have been if she had actually had an email from a campaign staffer offering to pay her to endorse Kamala Harris? That would be the kind of scandal that would tank an entire campaign. There's a lot that you can criticize about Democrats, and trust me, as a leftist who has chosen to work within the political system to win change and improve the lives of marginalized folks, especially disabled folks, as much as I can, I have many critiques for and about the party. But being that stupid is just not one of them, in my opinion. What we have paid influencers to do, particularly over the past few years, is create educational content around particular policies or issue areas to help reach their audiences as fewer and fewer people consume more traditional media. And that is something that I will forever stand 10 toes down on defending. In fact, it's something that I actively fought for us to do for many years before it ever became a common practice. And I am so proud that more campaigns and more organizations have begun adopting that practice, because newsflash, creating content, especially when that content requires research and scripting and all of these other things, is work, and people deserve to be paid for the work they do. Now, I cannot say whether Madeline disagrees with that statement out of ignorance, since that flat out is just not the exact kind of content that she creates, or if she just genuinely does not believe that people who do that kind of work deserve to be paid for it, but that is the reality. And here's further reality. Political content that is either educational and centered around policy or is about activating people to take action offline does not perform even a fraction as well as other types of political adjacent content. There is a reason why the content creators that focus on political clapback content or start every single video they ever create with activating words like breaking news have larger audiences. It's more fun to consume that type of content, and therefore that content gets way more views and engagement. It also just takes less time to create. And I do not say that to in any way be critical of the people who create that kind of content. I enjoy many of them. And as a content creator, I can prove what I'm saying to you is true using my own content as an example. Okay, so this first video that we're going to look at, it was a video that I made that was extremely off the cuff. It took me less than 5 minutes to record, edit, and post it. Extremely low effort. All it was is I was making a political joke about an executive order that Donald Trump had signed. It did super well, probably one of my highest performing videos ever. 2.6 million views, over 500,000 likes, and it made $829.69, which is, again, one of my highest performing videos of all time. But compare that video, which again, very low effort, to this video that I posted a few weeks ago, which was centered around a call to action to get people to contact their members of Congress about a particular policy. It took me several hours to create because I had to do research to make sure everything I was saying was correct. I had to find the appropriate places I could be sending people that would have a dialer that they could use, et cetera, et cetera. Several hours worth of effort. Obviously did not perform anywhere near as well. Got about 6,400 views, got about 1,000 likes, and are you guys ready for it? You're going to be really jealous. It made a grand total of $2.53. Woo! I know you guys are really jealous. Don't be so jealous. I don't know what I'm going to even spend that $2.53 on. I feel so wealthy. So as you can see, creating the type of content I'm talking about is not a particularly lucrative endeavor. It's certainly not something a person could support themselves doing. So personally, I view paying content creators as making up a fraction of the hit they are taking in pay scale in order to bring you content that is beneficial and educational and also harder to make. Again, this is just my opinion, as obviously I can't know what's in Madeline's head, but I 100% believe that on this particular point, Madeline is very well aware. I know for a fact that she is a part of the Creator Rewards program and receives payment for her views because she has admitted as much in at least one live that I was personally watching. I personally believe that she's been a part of that program for much longer than she cops to, but again, that's just my opinion. I cannot prove it. So I know she is seeing these same kind of metrics on her back end, and I know it is influencing the choices she makes about content creation because there is no way that it wouldn't be. That is the reality of being a content creator. But also, there's a reason why, despite personally following Madeline for years now, I have not one time seen an explicitly policy-focused or call-to-action-focused video from Madeline come across my FYP, despite that being the type of content that I both consume and create constantly. That's not to say she's never ever made one. I haven't seen 100% of her videos, but if she has, it never performed nearly as well as the videos she films centered around her disagreements with other creators, and therefore it did not get pushed out as widely by the algorithm for it to be served to me, despite that being the content it serves me as a nerd constantly. And look, I know there's a chance that Madeline would argue that everything I've just said is a distinction without a difference, but I'm telling you, she would be wrong if she tries to argue that, especially when the distinction was the difference that got multiple Black women who create political content on this app swarmed and harassed by her followers. And one more thing, again, I can't know for sure, but just based on my very educated opinion as a digital strategist and a content creator, I guarantee that Madeline's video that she created about Democrats paying off creators was probably one of her most lucrative videos that she's ever created. So I don't know. Maybe if we're talking about the the motivations for different creators, she had a financial motive in that regard too. And I think it's fair to point that out, given she was throwing stones on the financial motivations of other content creators, particularly Black women. So I don't know, just keep that in mind anytime that you see someone claim something particularly controversial.